This video will give you some tips and tricks on picking the proper size, scale, and style for your lamp base. So let's get started. So I'm standing here in my living room, and this is actually my son's piano. He recently moved back home. He brought his piano back home, and there was really no place to put it. So I stuck it back here behind the sofa, where I had a long buffet that fit the space a lot better, and I'll show you what that looks like. This is our screened-in lanai, and I haven't cleaned out here since Christmas, so it's filthy. But this is the piece, and the scale and size of it fits perfectly behind that sofa. Much better than the piano, but what are you gonna do? It's temporary. So you can see that the piano sits way too high for the sofa. So then one day I came across this piece that was in the garage, and then I had another table over there, and so I thought, well, let me try the lamps on the side tables, because the lamps up on the piano is just not quite right. There's a lot of things wrong with it, and I'll explain that in a minute. So I moved the tables in here just to move the lamps off and see how that worked, and I just don't really like it because of the whole, no lamps. Anyway, it just didn't work, but I used it for a little while. So anyway, let's start talking about the lamps, the shades, and that stuff. I bought a lot of lampshades at an auction. I think I might have bought 50 lampshades, and it was $5. Some of them are brand new. I've got two, and a lot of pairs. I bought them because I thought I would do some fabric covered lampshades, like the one that I did in this video right here. If you want to see that fabric covered lampshade video, you can click the card above. I have a super easy way to do fabric lampshades. So anyway, I had bought a bunch of fabric at a thrift store that's appropriate for this, and I'm gonna do these all in fabric. Getting back to the whole point of the video, talking about size and scale of your lampshade and your lamp in relation to your space. These I also bought at a thrift store, and they did not have lampshades. So I picked these up, I think at the same thrift store. And when these lamps were sitting on that low buffet, that buffet comes to like right about here, just barely above the back of the sofa. And so when these were sitting on that low buffet, and it was about this wide, this scale of this big lamp and this big shade was perfect for that. Clearly now it's not. It's the base of this is too big for this space. They sit too high up in relation to the sofa, and clearly that's because this is just too high. But one of the things that you definitely want to think about when you're buying your lamps or picking out a shade is the scale of the shade in relation to the base. Since these lamps are best suited on here and not on the side tables for now, until I can bring that lower piece back in here when the piano goes away, I feel like I need to have a more narrow lampshade, something that's not so wide. I would love to have just a smaller lamp with a smaller lampshade, but because I have so many shades, I thought I would go ahead and switch them out and see if I can find a shade that fits this a little bit better, something a little bit narrower. And the reason why I want it narrower is because this is sitting up so high. When you're sitting on the sofa, you're basically looking right into the bare bulb, and that's definitely something that you do not want with your lamps. And let me show you what that looks like. So I'm sitting here now on my sofa, and when you look, let me bring the camera up to where my face is. You can see we're looking right into the bare bulb, and it's just not a comfy, cozy place to be when you're looking into the bare bulb. It hurts the eyes. It's just not a great situation. So that's why I wanted to have this shade be a little bit narrower on the bottom and not flared out so much, so that we're not looking right into the bulb. So let's switch them out and I'll show you what I mean. The first one that I tried was this, because I thought it's pretty and it's wide this way, and I was going to do a fabric cover on it so that it is straight and it doesn't have this curve to it. When you put the fabric on there, it'll go straight down. So when I put it on, it looks okay like that, but from the other angle, it looks ridiculous. It's just too narrow. So then I tried this one, which this is more along the shape that I wanted, kind of a drum shade shape, but this one is just a little bit too small. It's almost the right size, it's very close, but just a little bit too small for this large vase, so that's no good. And then I have this one, which I was also going to fabric cover. This one is also not quite right. It's almost there. It's just a tiny bit too small. Now this one I could probably remedy by maybe putting a shorter harp here. So let's see. Nope, that's exactly the same side. Well, almost. Let's see if I put a shorter harp here, if that one will work. Okay, so now I've got a slightly shorter harp here. Let's see if that does it. That's better. Let me stand back and look at that. Actually, that's not too bad, but still not completely right. I think it needs to be just a little bit bigger. I love that it's, you know, narrower around the bottom so that you are, when you're sitting down, you're not looking up into the bare bowl, but I think it's still just a little bit, tiny bit too small in scale. I also have this one, which is going to be the same situation as that first one. The size that way is good, but looks ridiculous like that. But let me show you my lamp in my foyer because it's similar to this. Here I am in my foyer. This is a situation where the style of the shade is really important to go with this space. It's my foyer and I like to keep my lamp pretty tight to the mirror so that it's not encroaching on my space. When I had a round lampshade on here, I had to move my lamp out to the middle of this, and then the lampshade, you know, was much farther out, and it just made the foyer feel a little bit cramped. I've only got, you know, 14 to 16 inches here on each side of the door, and when you walk in the door, you don't want to feel like the lamp and everything is encroaching on the space. So that's why this style lampshade, which is a rectangle, see how narrow that is? And it just fits the body of this brass lamp just perfectly, and it allows me to push the lamp in the shade back on my table here and right up against my mirror so that it doesn't feel like it's encroaching on my foyer space. This is a great example of picking the right style shade for the space that you're putting it in. One more just quick thing about this. I bought this brass lamp base at a thrift store, and then I bought the shade another time at another thrift store. It just was serendipitous. That's just the way thrifting is. If you're out there a lot, you can do that. So this was super inexpensive. It needs to be polished pretty bad right now. It's pretty tarnished. I think I polished it before Thanksgiving, but so it's been a while. All right, and I'm going to show you one more example in my house of scale and size being off. So I'm out here on my back patio, and this is a lamp that I picked up on the side of the road. It was on the side of the road. However, it had a different lamp shade on it. Let me show you the lamp shade that came with it. So this lamp had this shade on it. So you can see why somebody would get rid of it. The scale is completely off. It looked like a little pinhead on this big base. But I loved the lamp. It's driftwood, and I thought, that's pretty cool, and it would look great out on my patio. I needed a floor lamp out here. I had lamps on the table back here, but I just felt like a floor lamp was more appropriate out here. So I picked up the lamp, and I just happened to be working on a project where I was making these huge lampshades for a restaurant. These here, and I had extra, so I put caning on it, and it turned out to be absolutely the perfect size for this lamp base. So this is just another example of size and scale makes all the difference when you're pairing your lampshades to your lamp bases. So take your time and search around for the correct size. So this shade I need to be gone. It's fine. When it was on the lower, it worked perfectly. But for now, up on here, it is not working, and eventually I'll get my lower piece of furniture back. But I think I did find just what I need for for now to keep this lamp up on the piano, and I am going to put the other lamp back on the piano. However, I do have to find one more shade like this. I only have one shade this size. So this is what I've landed on. I think this shade is the perfect scale and size for this lamp base. It fits the base size perfectly. It's a little bit narrower on the bottom here so that you're not looking up into the bulb when you're sitting on the sofa. I think it just works. I am going to fabric cover it like I did for my chandelier. Stay tuned for that video. I'll definitely make a video of that. But for now, I've got to hit the thrift stores and find another shade this size for the other lamp. So off to the thrift store I go. If you want to see the video on how I made that fabric covered lampshade for my dining room table, you can click on that video right here, and I'll see you over there.